We've done them with people like Zahara Simmons, who's the SNCC leader down in Laurel for a year and a half, John Dew, Lawrence Guiot. So we thought, in addition to the interviews, we do an organizing workshop with Alan Cooper, who is a brother, a military veteran, also in Veterans for Peace, has done great media organizing work, can talk about Wounded Knee, can tell a lot of stories, as we all know.
You make them up, name them. You can come up with it. He had been there, been in the woods, been shot at. You name him, he been there. He's still a dummy.
Hush.
And what we
Hush your mouth, man.
What we asked him to talk about was we obviously have been focusing a lot on the civil rights movement. We also have asked him to talk about like organizing, like his experiences, like all over the country, and that question that we grapple with all the time. Like,
you want to be here all night, don't you? No, you got to tell how long he has.
It's only at 45 minutes.
Oh, you gonna do all that in 45 minutes?
But the big question is, where do we go from here? So that, without further delay, we'll turn it over to Brother Alan Cooper.
Okay. Yikes.
You got 40 minutes to go.
Like I said a minute ago, I joke a lot, but I'm truly honored that you think it worth your while to ask me questions or me say whatever I'm going to say. I just see a lot of beautiful sisters and brothers in front of me with a lot of intelligence and a lot of energy, and it's beautiful. It's just flat beautiful, and I mean that. So, thank you. I'd like to ask you what you're curious about, and I'd like you to frame the conversation based on what you perceive as important or have questions for me. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Yeah.
I've just been really fascinated by the energy and the passion that you and your comrades had during the movement and for a while afterward. And I'm kind of curious as to what you believe or why you believe people my age don't. Why you think people my age don't have that same passion and commitment to social justice. Like,
why I don't think you have that energy?
No, why do you think?
Oh, you do.
Well, maybe I do, but it's not like a movement every day like it was, when you were younger as community.
I think there's a lot of by omission and commission, a lot of very bad information in the popular culture, if you will, about what has happened. People don't have no understanding of who, for instance, who Malcolm X was, what his legacy is, what he really was doing. Same with Martin, Dr. King. People have this. History has been rewritten and is being rewritten, and it's not an accident. It's on purpose, so that you can't connect the dots as easily. You have to work at it. You have to go out and pursue make those connections. I did, and I saw a pattern and I'm glad I did, so I didn't mess around. I just got it on as soon as I could. Wherever I am, I was just asked a similar question, and the difference between the struggle in Wounded Knee and the struggle in Ruleville or in Indianola is hugely parallel. And it's the same struggle, same enemy, and I call them enemies because they're ruthless, barbaric, criminals. They're criminal. We're living in a country that's characterized by institutionalized criminal behavior, and between that and the lies, there's a real hate orchestration that's happening, and it's hard to kind of see through the fog of the wars, so that you can say, step up and say, this is not going to happen, or we're going to organize around this. It's harder to understand what's going on because the producers and directors that are trying to give us a lot of misinformation are very good at it. Very good at it. So it's harder to do it because they've gotten much better. They're much more sophisticated than they were. They were kind of clumsy, oafish thugs, And now you don't even see them anymore. They're operating on a level we don't even understand or know about. I don't want to over answer a question, so all the struggles for me are all part of the same struggle, and I really mean that. It's the same people, same. As long as they can get away with it, they're going to keep using the same old techniques, to divide and conquer. Yes, ma'am.
How do you get people who are passionate about things to see that it's all the same struggle? To see the connections between feminism and anti-racism, anti-classism, and
The most effective way I've communicated in the last, say, 7, 8 years is I've been teaching high school, and I teach students. I encourage them to think for themselves. That's my first priority. And then probably the second word that jumps out of my mouth is imagination. And with respect, I go into a classroom standing up, can't teach sitting down, ever. And if you see a teacher sitting down, you know that they're not teaching. So standing up, humor, lots of humor, a lot of respect. And once in a while, when I would lose it and get mad or raise my voice, I'd go out in the hall. I wouldn't say anything, just go out in the hall and take 3 or 4 or 5 deep breaths and go back in and say, I'm sorry, I apologize for getting angry with you. And they've never even experienced that before, and they know it's genuine because it is genuine. And that kind of teaching where you approach students by being compassionate and funny and respectful, you tell a few jokes, I pop my hat off and say, just remember, God made a few beautiful heads, and the rest she covered with hair. And then I put my hat on, and they go. And then they start laughing. And when you get them laughing, you got them. Anyway, what was the other thing? Teaching, and in the last 7 years before I was thrown off the air, or we were thrown off the air on Channel 27 in Albuquerque Community Television, we were doing great. We were doing Democracy Now!, that kind of TV program every week, and just working our asses off and doing a really good job, getting really good quality people, lots of women, lots of different cultures, coming and talking. And they were scared to death, Sandia Base and Los Alamos and all the military and parts of the military industrial complex. They hated our guts, because we were exposing what was going on. The jet plume spill, it's about to poison the water supply for Albuquerque. I mean, it's huge. It's the biggest oncoming that we know of environmental disaster in the country, period. We're talking about wells, we're talking about parts of the spin-offs of the Ogallala Aquifer. Jet fuel is like toxic beyond belief. And the only reason it got visibility, publicity, is because we got people that knew what they were talking about up, and they started rapping it out and organizing and getting people educated. It's a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun because in the process, for me, it's fun because you're creating relationships, people that you trust, that you love. What's better than that? Don't have time to make a bunch of money. Don't want to make a bunch of money. Unless you have to rob a bank or something. But I didn't say that. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I have a question. I do research in New Orleans, Louisiana,
Mm-hmm.
about the privatization of schools and also the privatization of prisons as well.
Yep.
And I think that mass incarceration is probably one of the premier human rights violations that's happening in this country.
Absolutely agree with you, man.
Your background and what you've done in terms of political organizing and mobilizing, what advice would you give for organizing around a platform of prison abolition or something more radical in terms of how to really solve the mass incarceration crisis that we're having?
I've been in jail a lot, and I helped start a high school inside the jail in Albuquerque, the Metropolitan Detention Center, and that was one way to learn where I was at and what I was doing, and how to best do it. And it was like by modeling, You know, we did this, and there's only 2 in the country, and Albuquerque is a cop-heavy city that's killing people disproportionate to the rest of the population. So my forte is doing. If I have a few blanks, that's because I have a few blanks. You know, I'm firing shots that they don't go off. But documentaries, that to me is a holy word. It's the absolute best thing that I know how to do, is to get the best information you can, put it together, and get it out there. I don't care if it's on a piece of paper as a leaflet. I know that leaflets are analog, they're old school, you know, but some of the old school is good school. And, you know, using or creating, you know, start having a documentary film once a week, you know, and target your, you know, go out there and let people know, you know, it does not cost anything. Just come and watch this and we'll have a discussion afterwards. I've done that thousands of times, which is a testament to how ineffective we are. No, you know, consciousness raising to me is holy. It's absolutely holy. And when you can see actually, and I'm sure you've all experienced this, people, they just light up. You know, in high school, when you figure out a combination or a way to communicate something, and you make it really understandable, you can almost literally just see the light bulb go poof, and that's the best thing that can happen in the world. You know, when you see a light bulb go off, man, you've got him. You know, and you can give him. You're not telling him what to do or what to think or how to think. You're just presenting him some information. You know, and documentaries are just fabulous, man. Documentary with a little informal discussion, and don't let any rhetoricians take it over, you know, and start wailing away and talking. It should be generated from the people that you want to talk with and that you want to learn to know and to love and to trust. And I've got communities all over the world, all over the country. And that's how I have it, because we have a commonality, and they read that. You know, they hear that, and they feel it, and they know it, because that's the way I live it. And you're absolutely right, brother, about the prison industrial project. It's horrible. It's 21st century slavery. That's what it is. My son was in jail for a while in Albuquerque, and he was unloading a truckload of food one day, and I went to visit him. He said, "Dad, you know what was stenciled on the side of the boxes? They were unloading food. It said, not fit for human consumption. It was bound for the zoo." And they were feeding, you know, they're feeding them that. And just consciousness raising to me is it's everything. It's everything. And one of the best tools that I have found, I'm not saying it's the best, but for me it was, it has, and is. I'm not going to quit till I die, and I probably won't even quit then. But documentaries, man, are just holy, and getting good information, solid information out about what the fuck is going on. People just love it, you know. They're scared because it indicates that, you know, the nature of the enemy and how ruthless they are ruthless. But we got the power. We got the power of the people. And I know that sounds corny, but it's going to just keep sounding corny, because I'm going to always say it. It's the power of the people. And you develop a community with that consciousness, using that tool. And man, look out. You know, when I got my Freedom of Information Act from the FBI about 15 years ago. No, it was a little more than that. Well, I guess I still got some records compiling. I hope I am, because then it means that I must be doing something right. But they had 1,500 pages on me. But if you think that's impressive, Pete Seeger, about 5 years ago, he applied for his Freedom from Information Act. Oh, everybody sitting down, 9 feet. He had 9 feet. A banjo player. Boy, that's dangerous, man. So watch out if you decide to, you know, start playing the banjo. 9 feet. Yes, sir.
In all your decades of organizing in America, have you ever thought about just saying, hell with it, moving to another country and trying to build a community?
Oh, yeah.
Where are you going to move to? That was my question. Have you ever thought about it? And if so, what kept you going here?
The communities that I already know and connected to, of resistance. That's what keeps me here. And you know what? I love this country. But you know, I'm a revolutionary, and I'm proud of it. And there will be a revolution, and we will overturn these bastards. I don't know when, but it's going to happen. And empires never last very long because of the very nature of who they are. They just get so greedy that they go hungry. But I've thought about going elsewhere, and I have gone elsewhere, but I didn't stay elsewhere. I came back to New Mexico, or back to the United States. It's a country, you know. It's a beautiful place. New Mexico is fabulous. There's no place quite like it, you know. But on the other hand, you know, you got Sandia Base, you got Los Alamos, White Sands, all kind. We got 2,000 nuclear weapons inside the city limits of Albuquerque. 2,000 at the end of the runway. They moved them out of Manzano and they put them at the end of the runway in the city. That's to make you feel more secure. No, yeah, I've thought about it. And I've been other places and fallen in love with those places too, but for the same reason. There's a common bond about love and consciousness raising and respect and dignity. And when you start, you know, when you have those gifts, you can go anywhere you want, and people will listen to you. I mean, they even listen to me sometimes. So I've been white for 75 years now. Yes, sir. That was pretty bad, huh?
I was talking to you early all day. I was seeing yesterday, for the first time, I started seeing veterans of the Civil War.
No, it's a Civil War. No, you got it.
I'm jumping ahead of my question.
Oh, okay.
But
yeah, I've been doing that for a while.
Civil rights, and it's the first time, and I told you that it triggered in my mind that, well, if this shirt is existing, someone sees themselves as a veteran of a possible civil rights or civil war or civil rights movement, and is considering themselves a veteran, and then your first gun battle, if you could talk about that too, how does going into the direction of looking at the civil rights with violence or the violence that took place and the propensity for it, how does it then, what impact does it have on the social memory of how we look at the civil rights movement?
The social memory. Yeah. That's a good phrase. I like that.
Looking at it in the Civil War, possibly. That kind of idea of, you know.
To me, nonviolence is a tactic. It's a strategy. And it's one that I use all the time. And most people do and don't even know it. You know, and just neutralizing little conflicts here and there. It's very powerful, and it's the moral thing to do. It's the righteous thing to do, and it falls short. And the reason it falls short for me is because where many of the places I've been in the last 54 years, people didn't get killed, they didn't get hurt, because there was somebody. I'm not talking about going on a rampage. I'm talking about, you know, like I showed a gun one time when I was in a situation that looked like I was going to get hurt, and they had guns, and I didn't even point it at them. I just showed it to them, and they just left and they just moved away. It's a tool, and in the Southern Freedom Movement, my experience has been that that people didn't use guns, but they knew the crackers. People like my using that name. I think it's really apropos. They know who has a gun, and I think a lot of attacks simply that knowledge, not that they're picking it up or using it or going anywhere with it. Just knowing that they have a gun, I think it averted a lot of violence. And I know it sounds like a contradiction, but I don't think it's a contradiction. I think weapons, you know, you've got to use them carefully and cautiously and with thought, unless it's beyond that time when you got to do more. And I've done that too. But you'll never hear me bragging about weaponry. But it's not because, you know, it's a last resort, and it saved a lot of lives, I think.
Alan, tell
Yes,
me
sir.
your statistic. How you got hurt being nonviolent. How you paying for it now and others pay for it. Tell about yourself.
One night in Wounded Knee in 1973, I crawled over a hill and I saw two BIA, well, I call them pigs, but I'll call them BIA officers. And they were drunk. And we would been taking machine gun fire and rifle fire for about most of the day. And they didn't know I was there. And I didn't shoot him. I could have shot him. I didn't shoot him. And I'm not bragging about it. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just telling you that, I could have done it. And they weren't an immediate threat. There was something pitiful about it because they were drunk. And I just, somebody else said, yeah, go ahead. And I didn't say anything. I just didn't do anything. I didn't do anything. But Otis is referring to when Otis and I were did a lot of work together. We got jumped by the Klan in Inverness, right nearby, and he had the good sense to run, and I don't know what made me, I started engaging him in conversation. Well, I'll tell you why I did, because I didn't think they were going to do any more than, I thought sort of like negative communication. They were curious and they were afraid, kind of thing. But this is in the daytime. The Klan that kind of thuggery operates at night. They're too chicken shit to do anything in the daytime. That's been my experience. But that Saturday,
We're giving a watered down poetry. Tell the truth. I'm gonna tell you what really happened. The Klans were coming at us. They had iron bars in their hand, guns, and everything else. And he gonna try to be Jesus and talk to them.
No, I ain't no Jesus, man.
And what happened? He lost one of his kidneys. I told him, let's run with me, brother. We can't fight guns and iron bars. Let's run. No, he gonna say that and be Jesus. I decided to be the devil and run.
No, I didn't think I was Jesus, and I still don't. I don't want to be Jesus. I'm Alan Cooper, and that's good enough for me. No, you're right. You're right, Otis. I, made a bad tactical decision, but they didn't get me, and they ain't gonna get me. I mean, they're not gonna get me. Next. Anybody have any other questions?
He too modern. He can tell you a lot of things that happened to him.
Yes, ma'am. Oh, yeah. Well, I did both. Actually, I helped found a charter school, and I'm not really proud of it. It's a really good school. It's a really good school, and I think they're doing a lot of good things. But I don't even, I just got caught in that thing of putting together the Media Arts Collaborative Charter School in Albuquerque. And it's good, doing good work and all of that. But I don't support, I want the resources to go to public schools, period. 100%. And I think that the state government of Mississippi should make it impossible for charters to continue. They should take all that money and put it into public education so that people can meet each other and learn to live with each other. You can't do it this state is so frigging segregated. Oh, it breaks my heart, is what it does. It doesn't make me mad, it makes me sad. It makes me despair. Wait a minute.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I'm curious how you can keep a job in the public school system.
I can't. I keep getting fired.
Because they're so antagonistic to critical thinking for students.
Yeah, I've never had. 99% of my teaching life, I've had no trouble with students, and much of my teaching life I've had trouble with. I had a class right after the Afghan war, after we started slaughtering Afghans from 15,000 feet or whatever. I had 6 different linguistic groups. I had 65 students in a barracks teaching six linguistic groups. And there were 2 Afghan students who had lost their family to an accidental bombing by the Americans. and at one point got a piece of cardboard. I got a picture of it where he wrote, "No war, Mr. Cooper." He was learning English. And he asked if he could put it up on the board. And I said, of course you can. And so 3-4 months later, the principal came in, Ace Trujillo, and he ordered me to take it down. A little piece of cardboard said, "No war, Mr. Cooper." I said, you know, Ace, I need this job, but I can't take it down, and I won't take it down. And so he fired me. And about 3 months later, they reinstated me right away after a hearing, and Ace, about 3 months later, was illegally elk hunting in southern New Mexico while he was snorting cocaine, snorting caffeine, snorting. Well, maybe, hey, man, that's a new. And they busted him, and so what they did is they retired him. Ace Trujillo, that was my principal. Whew. Oh, that was part of. Did I deal with what was the question?
I was just wondering how you kept a job.
Oh, well,
What you're doing.
yeah, I a lot of times I didn't get in trouble because I was able to work with students in a way where they didn't create disruptions. You know, I worked with a wide variety of students and enjoyed the hell out of it. I love to teach. It's exhausting, but I love to teach, and I'm a damn good teacher, damn good. And it's real simple, you know, just have a lot of respect for students and do a lot of joking, you know, and if you slip and say fuck, so what, you know? They even love it more because then they've got power they know they can use, and they're not going to use it because they like you. Hey, it's real simple, you know? That's how I feel about it anyway. Yes, sir.
I'm sorry to keep asking you questions.
You're sorry? Oh,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
don't be sorry.
But,
There's nothing sorry about it.
Because you've been a revolutionary and a freedom fighter for, like you said, 54 years of your life. I think that for some of us coming up who want to follow in your tradition, of course, I think that because, like you said, the enemy is so hegemonic now, and it's like they're not oafish thugs anymore. It's so sophisticated now that it's kind of even hard to imagine a world without certain things. And I think that, you know, we don't even have the language sometimes to even speak of what a world would be like if all humans had liberation, for example.
Had what?
Liberation.
Oh, yeah. That'd be pretty exciting.
Yeah. So I was thinking if I know me and Justin were talking about this before. We were talking about doing like a science fiction series. Because it almost seems like you have to write science fiction to imagine.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
So how would you envision a world?
The mechanism, whatever, use the current cultural, you know, whatever's in, use it in your own way, you know, use it as a vehicle for, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
So how would you envision a world that, like, what have you been fighting for all this time? What do you think will become at the end?
Fighting to keep my own self-respect in a world that is just totally just, I'm so, I've told some of you this already. Amy Goodman was interviewing Angela Davis, who is a Black Panther Party sister, and she's one of my heroes, boy, one of my frontline heroes. Amy asked her, at the end of her 1 hour interview on Democracy Now!, he said, "So Angela, do you have any hope?" And she kind of turned her head like this and smiled, kind of a sassy smile, and she said, "I act like I have hope." And I thought that was, you know, that pushed my button. Yeah, that's where I'm at. You know, I'm not going to quit, and I'm not going to give up, and I'm not going to be negative in front of, you know, I shouldn't be doing it in front of you, but I'm hopeful. But the enemy is absolutely, I've seen it, act absolutely ruthlessly, just absolutely barbarically. So what we have is we have the people on our side. The question is getting them together, you know, and like I said before, you know, using documentaries and just talking to people everywhere I go, drugstores, gas. I talk about what's going on all the time. I just run my mouth ceaselessly. And I get into all kinds of great conversations. Like, give you an example, 3 or 4 years ago, if I'd said connected bankers and gangsters, people would have been, I mean, physically you can see them like say, oh shit, you know, I don't want to hear it. They're afraid to hear what's going on. And now when I say a bankster is a gangster and a banker put together, they just laugh, say, yeah, that's it. That's where it's at. And just little moments like that are little jewels, connecting the dot jewels. And people see it. And they'll resist in different ways. They may not do what you want them to do, but they may do something else. They may write a letter, talk to their Aunt Fanny, or whatever. But it moves out. It's moving much faster. The activism level in this country now is fabulous. It's much greater than it was in the 60s. There are more people in all kinds of different struggles, but they're all part of the same struggle. If you don't have water, it doesn't matter about anything else anymore. So water's critical, and that holistic, indigenous concept of sacred. All life is sacred. It's absolutely right on. And trees, trees are just as precious as a newborn baby boy or girl. Same. They're precious, and they know so much more. And when I say know, I mean it. And I can't speak tree because I'm not a tree, but they talk, and the trees are like just precious. All trees. I don't care if it's an elm tree that popped out of a weed. It's bending the sidewalk. Does that tell you something? An elm tree's bending, popping the concrete. It's just, I think we need to understand where we're coming from, and where I'm coming from. That's where I'm coming from. I knew that before, but when I went to Wounded Knee, and afterwards, my relationship with the people of the Lakota people on the Pine Ridge Reservation is just absolutely precious also. I learned so much from Indian people, indigenous people, about the web of life. All life is sacred, all of it. Even the thugs, We don't have to do a Soylent Green on them. We can send them to, Cultural 101, re-educate them, corral them, put them on Devil's Island, and they can fight it out amongst themselves. I've got a short temper for thugs. I don't like thugs. Yes, ma'am.
Considering your involvement in the civil rights movement, how would you, looking back, how would you tell someone to prepare for being involved in another big movement? Because I'm sure there would be a number. How does someone prepare for it?
There already is a big movement. There's a lot of parts to it, but there's a really big movement. It's bigger than it was in the 60s, and it was big in the 60s. And what's happening is people are starting to connect the dots, not with each other. So like the women's movement may, invite another group or even a male group to participate in some kind of something. So we're learning how to live with each other and on a larger level. And I think that the best, what I would say is, watch Battle of Algiers, watch Motorcycle Diaries, show it to other people. There's all kinds of excellent documentaries. Chris Hedges is, I don't know if you know who Chris Hedges is. There's a whole lot of investigative journalists that I'm so happy they're alive, and they're getting all that information. They're putting it together in different ways on film, in books, and just absolutely precious. Just that there's a lot of good information to be accessed, and so make yourself more informed on a regular basis, and share it. And share it, build those communities of resistance. That's what I know. That's the only way. We got it. We already won. We just haven't put it together yet, and I think we will. And the process is going to be beautiful. It's beautiful when you fall in love with, with other. I don't mean sexual love. Well, that too. But I'm talking about love. Love for somebody because they're on the planet, and you know them, and trust. The feds and the corporate elites in this world, in this country, the rich white men in this country, the super rich white men, that scares the hell out of them. You talk about, when you act from love, and you act from consciousness, and you act from compassion, they don't know how to do it. They don't even know how to spell the goddamn things. They don't know. They're unplugged. They don't need to, because they're busy gathering, ripping off the middle class and ripping off the working class and creating, I mean, the real unemployment rate in this country is over 20% now. Over 20%, 1 out of 5. There's 27 soldiers a day committing suicide. A day. And that came as a result of a lawsuit against the Department of Defense. 27 soldiers a day are committing suicide. I know a lot about that. I worked with the GI Rights Hotline for 7 years. And one night I took a call and I just broke down. I couldn't do it anymore. And that's the other thing I want to tell you. I'm glad you asked that question, because we need to take care of ourselves. We need to embrace ourselves. We need to learn how to, if we haven't already, learn how to love ourselves. Because it shines, when you start loving yourself. And you've got to love yourself in order to love anybody else. So take good care of yourselves. I've crashed and burned. I do not recommend it, When you feel like you're going to crash and burn, go cruising somewhere else for a while. Don't unplug, just kind of take better care of yourself than the minimum, you know what I'm saying? Because crashing and burning is not any fun. I've got PTSD coming out my ears. And I was just telling somebody here today, when we went into the soul food place, sat down, and I have automatic responses, like right here, I didn't look around. I'm not looking around behind me. I went into that restaurant and sat down, and I realized I wasn't looking around, and that felt really good. You know what I'm saying? So, treat yourself really well, and take good care of yourself, because you're just the very thing that you're doing, taking care of yourself. If you feel like you're carrying too much weight, drop some weight. Do things that'll make you feel better, because you're modeling. Everybody you're modeling your behavior. You're modeling. You're showing love for yourself. And I'm not saying stopping there. I'm saying starting there, and then it shines out, and that's when the connections start to happen. You start creating community. Community is a radical concept. And, oh, by the way, I haven't been a revolutionary for 54 years. I've been in the movement 54 years. And about 40 years ago is when I said, God damn, I'm a revolutionary. It took a little process, a little time to get there. That's it, huh?
What was it that made you realize you were revolutionary?
I don't like hate. And when I saw how much energy and resources were putting into promoting it and maintaining it, and after I lost the first few friends in the struggle itself, and I just stepped over the line and into a whole new place, and I'm proud of it. And I couldn't have said that even a couple of years ago, because I was kind of hampered by I had a lot of mental health issues there for a while. I overdosed on reality. Oh, in fact, my therapist at the VA, she was great, man. She is great. She said, she leaned over one day and got in my face really close. You don't do this when you're a therapist. Got way in my face. Can I illustrate? I'm going to illustrate. She got down in my face like, she said, Mr. Cooper, have you ever heard of news fasting? Like that. And I almost fell off my chair. So funny, because that's what I was doing. I was overdosing on so much in reality. It was like I had to know what was going on. Because to know more, somehow I could figure out what to do and how to go at it. And I overdosed. And I've never been accused of news fasting or asked to news fast before. And so that's, you know, does that sort of handle the question? I don't even remember who asked the question. Yeah, I'm sorry. You're just a blur of good feelings, man. I get it. I'm getting high off you all. I know, I'm serious. That's good. It's a good high. It's about as organic as it gets. Yes, ma'am.
How do you stop from de-radicalizing?
De-radicalizing?
Yeah, like kind of taking the bribes, like just saying, I'll work in the nonprofit industrial complex, or I'll be okay with gay marriage instead of getting like gay homeless youth off the street and like promoting sexual freedom.
Choose your battles a little more carefully, and don't, you know, allow yourself time to make adjustments. You don't have to. I used to do that. Whatever it was, hey, I'm here. I'm ready. I'll do it right now. And be a little kinder to yourself, because it's all connected, man. You know, if two men love each other, right fucking on. Two women love each other, right on. If they don't want to have any kind of, you know, that's who we are. We're the whole rainbow. We're all part of that rainbow, whether you like it or not. That's where we're at. But don't try and overextend yourself, I guess that's how I was reading what you're saying. Don't, be kind to yourself. Give yourself time to go somewhere where nobody knows you and read a book. That to me is I used to enjoy going to jail sometimes because I could rest, and just, especially on, minor charges that were just going to be for a week or two or something like that. And read and sleep. Wow, you mean sleep and then read and then sleep again? Really? Yeah, I could get used to, no. I don't mean that. Jail's not a good place. I mean, in Albany, Georgia, and Jackson, Mississippi, and I've been in jail in a lot of different places. But choose your battles and make the connections. If you see connections, oh man, that's all. But again, that's the network. That we're building a network. Right now we're building a network, and whether you like it or not, I'm your third cousin already. Come on, ask me some more questions. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you've been involved in a lot of different political actions, different struggles globally across the country, all that.
As an ally, I'm an ally.
An ally, yes.
Anything make the news, he was there.
And I wonder
where there was help was needed, and I sometimes directly asked, called me up.
Right.
Well, I wonder now what you think is the most effective way to get results accomplished, even with people who are in your networks or communities, like is it monetarily or providing like vocal support or publicity, or what kind of, hey, it's a question. I wonder what you think is the most effective way for you to stay involved with people even when you can't be with them physically, or you're interested in what they're doing, but you can't be with them on the ground.
He sounds like you're trying to do too much. That's what
well, but I know that you're involved with so much, and you have friends.
Like I should speak, huh?
well, you have community everywhere, like you said.
Yeah.
So I wonder how you stay connected.
There's a basic. I'm glad you asked the question because I don't think I was clear about this. There's a natural inclination to want to trust and love, and if you feed that in a genuine way, you got the connection. But you also got to say, I used to answer all the calls, and I would respond, whether it was 5 miles away or 5,000 miles away, and I'm not doing that now because I'm trying to make a little more time for myself. I'm doing other things, not exclusive. I haven't quit anything, but I'm finishing a memoir right now, which are basically a bunch of little cuentitos, short stories about in Wounded Knee, this happened and that happened. Some of it's funny and a lot of it's painful, sad. But I think it's still part of the movement because I'm gonna just get the book out, and I'm already starting to give rough copies out because I want feedback. I want people to tell me, this is bullshit, or this was really good, or whatever, so I can kind of refine it a little bit and just use my community as an editorial board. Basically, God, I hadn't even said that before. Yeah, like an editorial board, to make it. I want it to be as good as I can. But that's part of the movement. It's another consciousness raising tool. Like I've already told you many times, it's really meaningful to me. And the process is really nice. The process of building relationships and building coalitions is I know I keep saying the same thing, but it's just desperately important. We're not going to do it. Our lives will be much richer as part of in a community building, and it's really exciting. It's very stimulating, and it evokes great feelings, like Chase said, at the risk of seeming ridiculous, something like that. Revolutionaries are motivated by great feelings of love. Absolutely believe it. Absolutely believe it. They work together. Gulp, gulp.
Did you answer that question clear enough for you?
Yeah.
Let me make it plainer.
Okay.
I can tell you why he born out. A lot of people say they're going to help us. They're going to send us $10, $5 a week. A lot of weeks we went hungry. They didn't send anything. That's why you have less friends and don't believe in friendship. Answer your question, young man, about the new prison, private prison, they danger. If you're going to do that stuff, make sure you write things down and have people miles away, because that's the market. They make drugs and they sell drugs, they experiment. You get into danger territory. See, I know some of the people who involved in this stuff. My major was marketing, and I'm a bullshitter. I'm always asking questions. Trust nobody and trust them. They like putting a leech on them. Let them go so far, and you take it back. Alan, he answered your question at some point. We don't like to tell the truth all the time because we don't want to take credit for a lot of things we do. Alan can tell you stories to have you cry. The thing that he suffered from, got beaten up from. We all got beat, but Alan got beat the worst because he was the biggest sucker. Oh, I'm going to talk to these people. He got to learn to run. Alan got a lot of scars. If he tell you his true story, which you never get out of neither one of us, we just that way. We don't want to tell the truth, right, Alan? We tell up to a point.
Something happened here today. I remember what it was. It was a conversation about gangs, and I've worked with gangs quite a bit. And gangs to me are just people. Mostly are just people who just learned another way to live. Okay, it's not like they're very political in one sense, because poverty is political. That's what we're faced with. We're fighting the people who control poverty, and the poverty is the enemy, and the poverty is criminal. Poverty should be made illegal, and if you made it illegal, boy, then there goes the class divisions. Right away, the class is over. I like that. I'm a Karl. I don't believe it. I don't get along all the way with Mr. Karl Marx, but boy, he nailed it on the head when he talked about that. I got to tell you, I'm just inviting you. I have a card. I have a card. So if anybody wants my name and email, please, I'll give it to you afterwards. And we can stay in touch. And I send out like one email a week or so, when something really important comes across. I'd be glad to stay in communication with you. If you ever come out to New Mexico, call me, and we'll sit around and tell lies. Yes, sir.
This is a serious question.
Am I getting too frivolous?
No. I was just wondering, when you all were organizing in the 60s,
This is for everyone. You got to speak up.
Did you curse so much in the church?
What?
In the 60s, when you're organizing, did you curse as much as you are now in the church?
I probably worse.
Oh, okay. I'm just wondering, because I just like to ask if that's a historical fact or something. So, I may not agree with it, but I'm just curious.
Didn't Peter curse in the church? Peter cursed about everything he said. You go back and read your books.
No, I read it.
You need to go to Russia and look at that Bible, compare it with our Bible.
Who's Peter? Who's Peter?
Peter the apostle. Jesus, one of his apostles, his main apostle. Peter, Matthew. Matthew, the tax collector, good at stealing money. And Peter was just good at cussing.
Okay.
I have to look that up. Just let me.
Yeah, I'm going to have to look that up too.
Listen to the plantation Bible and look at the real Bible. Or the scroll, they call it scroll. See, my grandmother was Jewish, scrolls, you know, in the Bible. And most of the scrolls were kept by black folks to eat the oath to not this white Jews. See, a lot of things, they mistelling you a lot of things.
Sure.
That's why my mother sent us all to 12 different churches. We were 12 people. And she said, go and learn the bullshit.
Are you being offended by hearing it here?
Yeah, in a way, but...
Well, I can clean mine right up.
If you can give me some context, I can understand, like, just like organized, like, even when you were organizing... It was a way of being, it was emphasis. Because you're dealing with a frustration that you dealt with that, is painful. So I can understand the emotion. But the repetitiveness of, when it becomes repetitive, it's almost like you want...
Counterproductive.
Yeah, it's almost like...
No, I take the criticism well, brother, and I think you're right.
Yeah, so it's at a point. It's like, I let 6, 7 go, but then 12, 16, it's like, all right,
It's really important. You're talking about communication.
Yeah, it's communication.
Absolutely.
I'm not that sensitive to cursing. It's just the fact that, I know that there's people who allowed us to get to space, and regardless if they know the historical context of what
Well, you won't hear any
of curse words are, they could be anywhere in the rooms and they could be hearing it. And I don't know if we have the right to do what it is we think is.
Well, I hear you, and it ain't going to happen anymore for me.
No, it's like I said.
No.
That's all I am. I'm an honest person.
I respect that. I respect that.
Yeah.
And I'll shut my mouth. No. Shut my mouth with 4-letter words.
I wouldn't want to talk behind you and not say it in front of you.
I respect that.
Because I respect your story. I never talk to you all day. So, Okay.
Thank you.
No problem. It's more so for people who may be listening to other elders.
Absolutely.
Own this church. That's all.
Thank you for that.
And speaking of that, we have time for one more question, and then we have to clear out. Folks need to clean up this space. So one more question.
Yes, ma'am.
Nowadays, how do you decompress? I'm assuming you don't go to jail as often as you used to.
You're assuming what?
That you don't go to jail as often as you used to.
No.
So how do you decompress?
I decompress by I do yoga, not radical hot yoga or any of those. God, I can't believe doing going into 150 degrees and working. But yeah, I do yoga. I laugh a lot. Laughing is a really good decompression. Really, it's a way of psychic or not psychic, but it's physiological, relaxing. It's like hugging. Hugging is a very healthy thing to do. It really is. Hugging and what do I do to decompress?
Swim, walk.
Oh, swim! Of course. How could I leave it out? I love to swim. I used to be a water safety instructor and a lifeguard and all that stuff. I love water. In fact, water's sacred to me. And it's like the blood of Mother Earth. It's like absolutely essential, and that's an area where, a lot of people are doing a lot of really good work in consciousness raising and getting, trying to save the water that we have left. I'm really glad you asked that. But I'm trying to think of anything else. I love to read. And I'm not news fasting. I'm news fasting a little bit, but probably at this stage of my life, my greatest enemy is despair. I consciously work on things that stop me from despairing or sinking into despair. I've thought in the past a whole lot about suicide, and I've worked with suicidal soldiers. And I've thought about committing suicide, but I think that's kind of natural, So it's just part of the two-legged game. And I know we have to close it, and so I don't want to be the one that closes it, but I just want to tell you once again, at the risk of sounding repetitive, I really value all of you and the work that you're doing, and it's a real honor to be allowed to, spend this time with you. I hope I help you to understand better what, what the movement was and is, and it's not going to die. You don't have to worry about that. It's just there's a lot of people yet that you need to meet and get to know and laugh with and share with and love each other. Love it. That's a radical word, love. Radical. And we're going to win. And thank you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you.